You've seen this hundreds of times. The goal of this training is to prepare you to, next. An e-learning program teaches you something about the world, but before it does that, it also tries to teach you how to go through it, what the goal is, what the buttons do, where to find help. That's what we think tutorials are for, but they're actually way more important than that because they tell your learner what kind of experience they're about to have. Bad tutorials signal to the learner that this is going to be just as boring as every other training you've ever taken. You can go back to sleep. But a good tutorial establishes trust. It says, hey, you need to see this, but I know you're busy, so I'm not going to waste your time, and I know you're smart, so I'm not going to treat you like a moron. A good tutorial can make or break your training. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the 4 essential ingredients you need to make a tutorial that learners not only enjoy, but that primes them to pay attention. But first, hi, my name is Mary Jo, and I help e-learning designers use gamification to increase the effectiveness of their training. If you feel stuck making e-learning that just checks a box but doesn't actually land, book a free call. I want to hear about your obstacles and help you make a game plan. The link is below. Now let's dive in. Ingredient number 1, play, don't show. Think about the opening of The Devil Wears Prada. Miranda Priestley arrives early at the office and everyone panics. They scramble, they run around, they hide mistakes, and they whisper, oh my God, she's early, like it's a death sentence. Nobody tells you this, but you get it instantly. This is the boss from hell. That's a classic example of the filmmaking rule, show, don't tell. They'd save a lot of money if instead they just had a character say, my boss sucks, but they go to the trouble of showing you. Why? Because it's way more fun for you to piece it together. You're more engaged that way, you feel smart, and you're way more convinced that she's a B because you came to that conclusion yourself. You weren't fed that conclusion. But film is something we receive passively, and e-learning isn't like that. It's like games, it's interactive. So in our world, we have to go one step further. In our world, show, don't tell becomes play, don't show. Don't walk them through the interface with an arrow and instructions. Don't tell them what to click. Get them to do it. Let's say you're onboarding volunteers at a botanical garden. Their first task is that when they spot an animal, they have to log it into an app. Instead of opening with a list of button descriptions, click here to log a sighting, click here to open the notes panel, you drop them into a situation. You spot a rare butterfly, log it. They're given 3 buttons, and we stop until they click something. So they click insects, and the next screen asks them for species, so they choose one, and then we say great job. You've just taught them how the system works without a single instruction. That's what we call a forced success loop. It doesn't feel like they're learning, it feels like they're figuring it out because they are. You've built a win right into the training, and they're much more likely to want to continue because feeling smart is a powerful positive addiction. So how do you apply that? Well, you want to get them doing a relevant task immediately, not after an explanation. Start with things that they can succeed at through logic, deduction, and existing knowledge. Butterfly is an insect. Then you scaffold up, and as it gets harder, you can provide them with more and more information, but not the answer. Just enough information that they can assemble the answer in their mind. Trust your learner's intelligence. Don't explain something that they could discover on their own. Ingredient number 2 is spread the love. This one's a bit of a mindset shift. We see tutorials as things that happen at the beginning, but really they need to be spread throughout the training. So don't front load everything they need to know right at the beginning. I know that sounds obvious, but it's probably the most common mistake I see in bad tutorials. Just think about how often you see something like, in this training you will watch a scenario, then you will answer 10 questions, and you need to get 7 out of 10 in order to pass. Click next. Why do we tell them they're going to watch a scenario? Just show the scenario. And then when the quiz happens, that's when you introduce the passing grade and the score. If you teach something before it becomes relevant, they'll probably ignore it. And even if they don't ignore it, by the time it does become relevant, they'll have probably forgotten it. So teach them what they need to know only when they need to know it. Let's say that in my training, the learner accumulates points by completing activities, and when they have enough, they earn a power-up, like a hint, for example, that they can use on a harder question later on. I don't have to tutorialize all of that right away. I can just have this progress bar here that's progressively filling up as they're completing things. They don't know what it's for yet, but that's okay. Now they're curious about what's going to happen when they fill it up. Then when they earn their first power-up, that's when I'll say, congratulations, you've earned a hint. Use it to make any question easier. So when you spread the tutorial across the whole experience, of course you reduce the overwhelm at the beginning, but you're also keeping that curiosity high, and you're also making sure that they understand what you're talking about because they're seeing it in context. So here's how to apply that. First, list out every challenge type in your training. Maybe you have a simple decision, branching scenarios, fill in the blanks, time challenges, etc. Then list out every mechanic or feature, optional resources that they can consult, experience points that they can earn, bonus questions, timers, hints, etc. Then you look at your game roadmap and you figure out when's the first moment each of these elements will appear. That's when you'll tutorialize it. So maybe your first 2 challenges are simple decisions and you only introduce the timer in level 3, so that's when you'll show them how the time limit works. I'm not putting it on screen from the start with a 0. I'll hide it till I need it. Then I let it appear as part of the surprise, and that way each tutorial moment becomes a reveal and that feels like a reward. Ingredient number 3, no nerfing. Of course, in a tutorial, things are supposed to be pretty easy, but don't fall into the trap of nerfing your tutorials, by which I mean making them so easy that you remove all the challenge, all the need to think, and you just give them the answers or tell them where to click. If they can get through your tutorial without thinking, they'll learn that they can get through the entire training that same way and they won't pay attention. So even in a tutorial, the principles of engagement apply, even more so because this is where you're establishing that trust. So design the first challenge so that it feels like a real decision that only has one safe path to success. Let's take a training program for newly hired journalists learning how to assess the credibility of a source. They start by receiving a tip from a contact that's claiming to break a new story. They have 3 actions they could take. Run it immediately so that they can scoop the competition, get a second source, or publish it as an unconfirmed report. Only one of those is journalistically sound, and it's not super hard to figure out which one, but you are making them think a little bit, so it's a relevant challenge. That's how you earn their attention. Ingredient number 4 is be invisible. Years ago, a client was playing through one of my training games, and after a while he turned to me and said, "Hey, is there a tutorial?" That, my friend, was the best compliment I ever got, because he'd already done the tutorial, he just hadn't noticed. That's an invisible tutorial, and it should be your gold standard. The goal is to teach them without them knowing it. So remember the ingredients. Play, don't show, which you can also call act, don't read. Spread the love, that is, teach them what they need to know only when they need to know it. Be invisible, that is, embed your tutorials seamlessly into your challenges. And no nerfing. Don't be afraid to make them think as early as possible. If you do these 4 things, your learners will feel confident and clever, and they won't even notice that you're teaching them anything. And if you want the step-by-step method to implement this across your entire training program, book a free call with me so we can talk about your challenges and your goals and see if my program is a good fit for you. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.